So it's important for you to kind of figure that out and find a distributor that can help you in that pricing competitive advantage. Yeah, I'll talk about what we're doing and how we're getting our prices lower. I've got a plug. Don't forget, I've got a plug for Solar Universe in here too. And I'll tell you what our business model is at the end. Availability, and that hasn't been a problem this past year, but it's going to be a problem going forward. Because as people start to loosen up their wallets again and start buying solar, we will see a demand start to increase at a faster rate as the economy improves. You're going to see a lot of material pulled out of the supply chain. And not only from the U.S., though, because you're going to have Italy, Germany, India, France, China will also be pulling from the same resources. Okay? And believe me, there'll be availability issues. So it's real important to also make sure that you've got a good connection with your supply chain and you've got a good relationship with the sales rep so that you've got an ongoing supply of material. Okay, because that's an advantage you can have over the competition. It's also what your competitor is going to use as a leverage and advantage over you if you're going in for a bid on something. Imagine somebody who has a $300 or $600 PG&E electric bill. The sooner they get that in, the sooner they can eliminate it. And if you're going to be 6 weeks or 2 months late, then your competitor, that's $1,200 that the customer is missing out of their pocket. So it's real important to make sure you've got that. Because I'll use that against anybody who can't get access to material if I know who it is. And then the other is technical support. You know, as much as you think you know that these things are going to work perfect in the field, I can tell you constantly run into things. I love Enphase, I love the microinverters, but right now I work on every single install. There's always something on there we have to work through, and I've been able to work with them on software patches now that they're downloaded to fix a communication issue that was in the microinverters, just strengthening up, keeping the microinverters communicating back to the unit that plugs into the house. Inverters work fine, but when it doesn't show up on the screen, you get a call from a customer. And there's nothing worse than having to keep going back out to a customer because they think the system isn't working. And you test it out, and you look up, and you find out it is producing and everything else. It's just the darn software is not communicating back with the computer. Okay? So that kind of technical relationship is important. The quote tool. I talked a little bit about a quote tool. One of the things, and I'm just sharing a little bit of insight into Solar Universe. We actually have pre-configured a bunch of systems. We have probably now 4,000 or 5,000 different systems we've configured using different inverters, using different panels, different sizes. It's probably grown even farther than that since I last counted the number that are in there. But we use that configuration because we've already tested it out. We already know what it is. We already know what the line balance, what the balancing and everything else is. What we also do, though, is then we can use that to populate our proprietary quoting tool that allows us to then turn around and put all the material lists down. And then from there, we know what our uplifts are on material. We know how we factor in our labor on top of that, what our uplift cost is on our labor. And we put all that in so that we can come up with a quote that we can turn around and give to the customer. But also in this tool, we take all the EPBB data and we put that in there as well. And all of it then calculates out the cost-benefit analysis for the customer as well. They're going to spend $40,000. They want to know why. And when I talk about marketing, you'll be very interested in who we market to and where we're spending our marketing money. It's not where you think it is. Okay? Any questions here? Because I know I tend to go sometimes pretty fast.
Is that through Clean Power?
Nope, we don't use Clean Power. It's a proprietary tool. We spend probably $750,000 in our own tool.
But there are others.
Okay. Marketing. So there's a lot. I got a great compliment from Jamie the other day. There was a picture, I have it at the end here, of one of the shots of when we're installed. When we do our installs, we take pictures all the way through. So make sure your first install and every install you do, take pictures. If anything, leave a camera for the crew to take some pictures as well if you're not there. Okay? But people want to know about it. This is all new. And people want to know kind of how it works and all that kind of stuff. So, because what you're doing is you're marketing. There's less than 1% of the homes in the United States have solar. Less than 1%. These are called early adopters. And early adopters like to know how. How does it go together? How does it work? What's it going to look like? And having those pictures are a big plus for you. I didn't bring it with me, but we have a portfolio. We take the trade shows and everything else we use so that the customer ever asks how, we can turn around and show them. They want to know how the mount's going to go on. Okay? Company website. Everybody searches on the website, so make sure you've got a website set up for your company. Use Google AdWords to be able to drive people to that. And you can start off with an account, $30. That's how I started. $30, buy a few clicks that get through to it, but you start to at least get some clicks. That $30 also, by putting in Google Ads, even though maybe I don't get a sale, I get impressions. The name shows up on sites, on searches. And when your name keeps showing up over and over and over, it starts to imprint in the back of the head. That's why we do this. You know? Put something big and bold on your vehicle so that when you're driving around town, people, oh, yeah, solar air. And you know what? We make several trips to a customer. You go out to the customer, do the site survey, you go out to the customer, sign the contract, you go out to the customer to do a pre-install with your crew or your field lead. Then you got your crew there for a couple days. You might go back out for a site verification or inspection. So you have, driving through that neighborhood, your vehicle with your logo all over it 4 or 5 times at least, sometimes more. Okay? That, believe it or not, we get calls because of that. We also put a sign out in front of the house too. Home improvement shows. That has given us probably the most leads for us, at least in the Bay Area. And that may be because we have a lot of technical people in the Bay Area, a lot of engineers and everything else in the Bay Area. We get a lot of people who come in and want to talk to us about solar. The other thing is what's nice about home shows, normally a home improvement show doesn't have renters. You don't want to market to renters. So you want that one of your criteria when you're screening your leads is, do you own your own home? And then you go from there. Okay? Radio campaigns. This is where I'm going to kind of put your mind probably upside down here a little bit. So you'd think when you're going to go do a radio ad, we decided to do radio ads because we needed, again, to get our brand out. There is solar. Anybody heard of Solar City? They're big in the Bay Area. They're big in California. They're big in a number of states and stuff. So one of the things is I wanted to make sure that we were very much aware. So we started running ads. What we found out is running on the conservative talk shows is where we actually, so we get the most calls when we run our ads on Rush Limbaugh. Okay? Know why?